Good morning, warriors of discipline and seekers of inner strength. Each sunrise offers us a new opportunity, not just to begin again, but to begin better. In a world filled with noise, chaos, and distraction, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But wisdom teaches us that peace doesn't come from avoiding life. It comes from mastering it. Today, inspired by the teachings of Shi Heng, a modern Shaolin master who blends ancient Eastern wisdom with the challenges of modern life, we unlock 9 morning mantras that awaken your power from within. These mantras are more than just words. They are anchors of clarity, courage, and discipline. Your mind is your greatest weapon. Your thoughts shape your reality. Your morning routine is not just about productivity, it's about aligning with your true self. And when you start your day right, you live your life right. So breathe deeply, stand tall, and let these mantras fuel your soul, because the strength you're looking for, it's already inside you. You just need to wake it up. Every morning you wake up is not just the start of another day, it is a sacred reset button for your life. While yesterday may have been filled with setbacks, doubts, or chaos, the morning brings with it a unique energy of renewal. The moment your eyes open, you are given a silent invitation to begin again, with more intention, more awareness, and more strength than you had before. In the teachings of Shi Heng, the morning is seen not as a passive transition from sleep to wakefulness, but as a powerful moment of rebirth. Just as the Shaolin monks start their day in silence, reflection, and movement, we too must treat each morning as a ritual, a time to reconnect with our purpose, to empty the mental clutter that accumulated overnight, and to align ourselves with who we truly want to become. The modern world pressures us to rush, check phones, answer messages, chase deadlines. But in doing so, we skip the most important step, grounding ourselves. Without a centered start, the rest of our day becomes a reaction instead of a creation. When you view your morning as a sacred beginning, you reclaim control of your life, one breath and one thought at a time. Every morning is a blank page. You are the author. You choose the tone. You define the direction. And when you begin with clarity, gratitude, and inner power, you carry that energy into everything you touch. A fresh beginning doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means choosing not to be bound by it. It means deciding consciously that today you will show up stronger, speak more kindly to yourself, and walk a little more boldly in the direction of your truth. Whether you rise with the sun or before it, each morning is your invitation to meet the world not with fear, but with focused intention. Shi Heng is not merely a martial artist or spiritual teacher. He is a bridge between worlds. His teachings stand at the intersection of timeless Shaolin philosophy and the rapidly evolving complexities of the modern world. What makes his wisdom so compelling is not just its depth, but its relevance. He doesn't speak from theory. He speaks from discipline, practice, and lived experience within a monastic structure that has shaped warriors and sages for over 500 years. The ancient Shaolin way emphasizes harmony within the body, the breath, the mind, and the external environment. It teaches that inner stillness is not weakness, but strength in its highest form. Yet, Shi Heng understands that modern life rarely allows for monasteries or mountaintops. People today wake up to notifications, deadlines, financial stress, emotional noise. In this chaotic space, he delivers ancient wisdom in modern language, making it accessible not just to monks, but to CEO, students, parents, athletes, and everyday seekers. One of his core messages is that discipline leads to freedom. In a world addicted to convenience and overstimulation, this is radical. He encourages us to reclaim our minds, to step away from constant distraction, and to return to ourselves through breathwork, movement, silence, and conscious repetition of mantras. These aren't mystical rituals. They are practices designed to bring clarity and mental sharpness, just as physical training builds strength. Through his teachings, we learn that spiritual growth doesn't require escaping the world. It requires transforming how we live in it. The ancient Shaolin path is about awareness and presence, not detachment. And when these teachings are adapted to our time, through daily mantras, mindful routines, and physical stillness, we start to see that the gap between the monk and the modern man is not as wide as we think. Shi Heng empowers us not by giving us answers, but by teaching us how to observe, reflect, and discipline the mind so we can uncover the answers within ourselves. His approach strips away the illusion that modern problems require complex solutions. Often, what we truly need is simplicity, focus, and the courage to return to the basics: breath, movement, mindset, and purpose. Mantras are not just poetic affirmations or motivational phrases. They are powerful mental tools that train the mind to return to a specific state of awareness, clarity, and strength. When used consistently, especially in the quiet, focused hours of the morning, mantras act as anchors, pulling the mind back from distraction, emotional turbulence, and self-doubt into a state of presence and power. In the teachings of Shi Heng, repetition is not mindless, it is mind training. Repeating a mantra is like sharpening a blade. Each repetition clears away a layer of mental fog. Each word spoken with intent realigns the scattered thoughts and emotions that build up silently over time. The early hours of the morning, before the world makes its demands on you, offer a sacred window of opportunity to program your mind. In that window, mantras become a form of psychological armor. Most people start their day in reaction mode, scrolling, checking emails, drowning in noise. But imagine the power of starting your day in complete stillness, focusing your mind with a mantra like, "I am present, I am focused, I am calm." Instead of absorbing the energy of the world, you create your own. You choose your mindset before the world has a chance to impose its chaos on you. This is not a small shift. This is a complete reorientation of how you experience life. Mantras act as conscious reminders of who you are becoming. They remind you that even when you are tested, when you are overwhelmed, when things don't go according to plan, you have a foundation that cannot be shaken. That foundation is built every morning you choose to speak with intention. The mantra becomes a mental compass, returning you to center when you are pulled off course. And the power of a mantra isn't just in the words, it's in your relationship with them. When spoken with presence, they begin to penetrate the subconscious. They reshape your self-image, they interrupt negative loops of thinking, they plant seeds of inner strength that grow silently but steadily, day after day. Just like the Shaolin monks condition their bodies through rigorous repetition, so too must we condition our minds through repeated focus and intention. Morning mantras, then, are not a spiritual accessory. They are a necessity for those who seek clarity in a world that thrives on confusion. They are an act of mental discipline, a daily act of reclaiming power, and a form of self-leadership that quietly but profoundly transforms the course of your day. True strength is often misunderstood. Many associate it with muscle, dominance, or loud declarations of confidence. But Shi Heng and the long lineage of Shaolin philosophy he represents teaches us a deeper truth. Real strength is silent, steady, and born from mental clarity. Without clarity, even the strongest body becomes aimless. Without clarity, even the most talented individual becomes scattered and reactive. But when your mind is clear, when you see things as they are, not through the lens of fear, ego, or confusion, you gain access to an inner reservoir of power that no external force can match. mental clarity is the foundation upon which all other strengths are built. It is the calm eye in the center of the storm, the unshakable presence that remains steady in the face of pressure, chaos, and uncertainty. But clarity does not happen by accident. It must be cultivated, deliberately and consistently, through practices such as meditation, mindful breathing, conscious movement, and of course, the repetition of focused morning mantras. In today's hyperstimulated world, our minds are constantly pulled in 100 directions at once. Notifications, demands, news, opinions. It never ends. The result is a kind of low-grade mental fog that clouds our decisions, fuels anxiety, and erodes our sense of self. We feel busy but not purposeful, exhausted but not accomplished. Shi Heng reminds us that inner strength begins the moment we stop running, when we choose stillness over noise, presence over distraction, and awareness over reaction. Mental clarity gives us choice. Instead of being driven by emotion, we begin to respond with intention. Instead of being tossed around by our circumstances, we start to navigate them with focus. It's in clarity that we remember what truly matters, who we are becoming, and where we want to go. It helps us distinguish between what is urgent and what is important, what is noise and what is truth. When your mind is clear, even the most difficult challenge becomes manageable. Clarity allows you to see problems as opportunities, setbacks as lessons, and criticism as feedback, not personal attacks. You stop seeking validation from the outside because your direction is coming from the inside. That is inner strength, not the absence of fear or struggle, but the presence of awareness in the middle of it. Shi Heng teaches that a calm mind is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Just as the body cannot function without breath, the soul cannot lead without clarity. When you cultivate this clarity each morning, you sharpen your perception, align with your higher self, and create a space from which authentic power can rise. Of all the tools you possess, your body, your skills, your education, your experiences, none is as powerful or as dangerous as your mind. Shi Heng emphasizes that the true battleground of life is not outside of us, but within. It is not the circumstances that defeat us, but the thoughts we entertain about them. And just as a warrior sharpens his blade, we must learn to sharpen, train, and master our own minds. For once the mind is mastered, life is no longer a series of reactions. It becomes a path of conscious response. The mind is the command center of your life. Every decision you make, every action you take, every word you speak originates from your thoughts. If those thoughts are unclear, negative, scattered, or fearful, then your external life will reflect that confusion. But if your mind is disciplined, focused, and anchored in clarity, then even in the midst of chaos, you will move with grace and power. Yet the mind, left untrained, can become your greatest saboteur. It can distort reality, magnify fears, recycle self-doubt, and keep you locked in cycles of anxiety, regret, or overthinking. The mind is like a wild horse. It is powerful, fast, and energetic, but without a rider, it will run in every direction except the one you need. Shi Heng teaches that through mindful practice, you become the rider, the one who directs the mind rather than being dragged by it. This is where morning practice becomes essential. Mantras, meditation, breathwork, these are not rituals of luxury, they are disciplines of mental warfare. They are how you prepare for the challenges of the day. Just as a warrior does not go into battle without sharpening his sword, you should not step into the world without aligning your thoughts, because once your mind is steady, you become unshakable. The strength of your mind determines your resilience. When setbacks come, as they always do, it is your mindset that will decide whether you break down or break through. A strong body may help you push through physical limits, but a strong mind helps you transcend them. And unlike the body, the mind can grow endlessly. Its potential is vast, but only when you take responsibility for its development. Shi Heng reminds us that your greatest victories will come not when you control the world, but when you learn to control the way you perceive it. When you learn to pause before reacting, to breathe before judging, to think before assuming. That is the training of a master, not someone who never feels fear or anger, but someone who has learned how to hold those emotions, examine them, and choose a response that aligns with their purpose. Your mind is not something to be ignored or passively managed. It is the forge where your identity, discipline, and future are created. It is the weapon that will either destroy your potential or unleash it. And each morning, with every mantra, every moment of silence, every breath of awareness, you are sharpening that weapon. In a world that idolizes spontaneity and glorifies chaos, routine is often misunderstood. It's mistakenly seen as boring, rigid, or uninspired, but through the lens of Shi Heng's wisdom, routine is not a limitation. It is a powerful structure that cultivates inner discipline, balance, and long-term resilience. Just as a tree roots itself deep into the earth before reaching for the sky, a strong routine grounds us before we face the unpredictability of life. Resilience is not developed in times of ease. It is forged in the repetition of small, deliberate actions taken every day, especially when motivation is absent, and this is where the power of routine truly reveals itself. It eliminates the need to wait for perfect conditions. It removes the question of if you will act and replaces it with when. A morning routine built with mindful rituals such as breathing, stretching, mantras, or meditation becomes more than a set of tasks. It becomes a sacred rhythm, one that steadies the mind, awakens the body, and prepares the spirit. Shi Heng often reminds us that discipline leads to freedom, and discipline is cultivated within routine. When you follow a routine, you are training not just your muscles or your habits, but your willpower, your ability to stay aligned with your higher self, even when distractions and doubts try to pull you off course. Each day you show up for your practice, you are telling your mind, I am in control. I lead, not my emotions. This internal leadership is the essence of resilience. A strong routine teaches you how to be reliable to yourself. It builds trust, not with others, but with your own spirit. Because when life becomes uncertain and the unexpected strikes, your routine is your anchor. It gives you something to return to, something that reminds you of who you are and what you value. It doesn't mean you won't feel shaken, but it means you won't be lost. Shi Heng draws parallels to nature and the martial arts. In the Shaolin tradition, even the most advanced warriors begin each day with foundational movements. Why? Because mastery is not found in complexity. It is found in the consistent refinement of the basics. The same principle applies to our mental and emotional lives. We build resilience not through occasional grand efforts, but through the quiet, steady rhythm of showing up. Again and again. Over time, your routine becomes your identity, not in a superficial way, but in a deeply embodied one. It shapes how you carry yourself, how you respond to stress, how you treat others, and how you speak to yourself. It creates a stable inner environment that is not easily influenced by external circumstances. That is the mark of a resilient person, not someone who avoids adversity, but someone who has trained through discipline to move through it with awareness and strength. And it all begins in the morning, with the choice to repeat what is good, what is necessary, and what brings you closer to the person you are becoming. We live in a world that constantly tries to convince us that we are not enough as we are, that we must acquire more, achieve more, or become someone else in order to be powerful, valuable, or fulfilled. But Shi Heng offers a radically different perspective, one rooted in the ancient Shaolin understanding of self, mastery, you are already whole. The strength you seek, the clarity you crave, the purpose you long for, they are not outside of you. They are already within you, quietly waiting to be awakened. The modern mind is conditioned to seek answers externally, from books, gurus, influencers, certifications, or social validation. But the truth is, no one can give you what you refuse to discover within yourself. Shi Heng teaches that real transformation is not about addition, it is about remembrance. It's not about becoming something new, but uncovering what has always been there, hidden beneath layers of fear, distraction, and self-doubt. When you engage in practices like morning mantras, meditation, or breathwork, you are not adding something foreign to yourself. You are peeling away the noise, the mental clutter, the emotional baggage that has accumulated over time. With each breath, with each word spoken from your center, you are clearing the fog that hides your inner strength. You are learning how to see clearly, not the world, but yourself. Your power is not in how much you control, but in how deeply you understand yourself. It is not in dominating others, but in mastering your reactions. It is not in being loud, but in being still and unwavering in your truth. Shi Heng emphasizes that the journey inward is the highest form of courage. To look within, to confront your limitations, to sit in silence with your thoughts, that is the real work. And through that work, your dormant strength begins to rise, not as a surge of ego, but as a quiet, grounded presence. This inner strength doesn't come from perfection. It comes from awareness. It comes from discipline. It comes from the simple, consistent decision to show up for yourself every day, especially when it's uncomfortable. When you begin to realize that your breath is a tool, your focus is a weapon, and your inner silence is a sanctuary, you stop seeking strength elsewhere, you embody it. Shi Heng often reminds his students that the external world will always be unpredictable. Challenges will arise, people will misunderstand you, life will test you in ways you cannot foresee, but if you are rooted in your internal power, no external circumstance can break you. You may bend, you may stumble, but you will never lose yourself, because your foundation is within. And perhaps the most liberating truth of all is this: you do not need permission to access this power. It is not reserved for the elite, the enlightened, or the perfect. It belongs to you right now. As you are, all that's required is that you stop looking outside and turn inward with courage, consistency, and compassion. As you move forward from this moment, remember, you do not need to wait for the world to change before you rise. You do not need the perfect circumstances, the right mood, or external approval to begin. Everything you need is already within you. These morning mantras are not just words. They are reminders of your power, your discipline, and your inner clarity. Each repetition is a commitment to yourself. Each breath you take with intention is a return to your center. Each day you begin with presence is a step toward mastery. Shi Heng teaches us that the journey of self-mastery is not a sprint. It is a daily devotion, a quiet, consistent act of returning to what matters most: awareness, discipline, and truth. So let your mornings be sacred, let your mind be still, let your actions reflect your deepest values. Because when you start your day with strength, intention, and inner calm, you don't just survive the day, you shape it, and through that you shape your life. Now rise, breathe, and walk forward, not as someone seeking power, but as someone who has remembered where it has always been, within you.